guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make this two-piece. So you will notice that the fabric here is open, and then I'm going to just fold it into two. This is going to be the top. We're starting with the top, right? So you're going to go ahead and measure round your bust. So first thing, before you even do that, the length I'm using here, it's about 29. So the length I'm using now is 29. So by the time I'm done, I would want to end at 27.5, right? So just add yours plus your seam allowances. So then after that, I'm going to go ahead and measure the width. So first thing is that I'm going to tuck away 2 inches at the end here, which is going to be for the placket of my button. So fold 2 inches away. So once you folded away the 2 inches for the bottom placket, the next thing is going to be to add the length you're going to be working with. So I folded 2 inches away, you see. So now from the end, I'm going to calculate what is left. So I'm going to make sure that my bust divided by 4 will fit in here. So let's say that is at 11. And then I'm going to make sure that I have an extra, so that is somewhere here. I'm going to make sure that I have an extra 5 inches by the side, right? I'm going to use 1 inch to fold the end, and then so that means extra 4 inches, which is okay for me. Just 4 inches to wrap around on each side, right? If you want, you can make yours 6 inches if you don't want much space in between your back. But I'm okay with this. I don't want it to go all the way towards the back. So now the next thing is going to be to go up to the shoulder. Mark your shoulder divided by 2, which for me is going to be 8. Come down 1 inch of shoulder slope. Insert your armhole divided by 2, which is here, and then connect it all the way to the top. Give it a curve here, and then after that I'm going to go ahead and mark my 3 inch of neckline. Connect the shoulder slope just like this, and then after that you're going to come down here by 3 inch of neck depth. You see? So once this is done, the next thing you're going to do, seeing that this is an halter neck top, so you're going to connect it all the way to this point. So the point where the 3 inches meets the shoulder slope, you're going to just connect it to each other, right? If you would want it to give a little bit more of your shoulder and curve in a little, instead of making the line straight, just dip your hand in a little bit. I find it to be more flattering when you just go in a little bit. It shows more of your clavicle than when you just go straight to the like this. It just hangs on the top of your shoulder, just showing the edge of your shoulder. So I like to, when I mark it straight, I like to go back in and give it a little dip towards the end, right? But don't mark it all the way to the end. Leave at least, so let's say at the top here, this is where the curve of my neck is. This is the shoulder slope. So what I'm going to do is to make sure I have at least half an inch here or 7.5 here, and then blend it in. This is because I still need to use bias to fold this here. So I want to have a space where I'll sew the bias on. So half an inch of, so guys, let's say this is your neckline, right? The neckline that we have here, this is the curve here, right? And then this is my shoulder slope, just like we have here. I'm just marking it here so it's more visible. What I'm saying is, instead of our halter neck going like from here to this point entirely and connecting like I said initially, what we're going to do is that we're going to make sure we come down at least 1 inch here and then connect it. You understand? So that's what I did here. So you see, instead of connecting it to the end now, I moved it away. 1 inch is okay. That's because I'm still going to use half an inch of this towards the neckline when I go to attach the collar, and then half an inch of the other half an inch to fold the bias when I go to fold the whole armhole. So you see, but if we move it to the end, we're not going to have anything to work with, and it's going to shorten the length of the cloth. So now that is done, all we have to do is to go ahead and cut. So I'm going to cut from here into this point, up, and then into the neckline. So guys, this is what we have. You see, I cut this out from here, and then I cut this one out from here. So cut this, we still have about 1 inch in between here, right? So now I'm going to try to, it depends on you, but if you want, you can add a basic dart to this in front, right? But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open this up, remove the pin, and split it open in front. This is going to be the bottom placket. So the first thing you're going to do is to go to your sewing machine. So you're going to first fold the placket like this. So take this side here, fold half an inch first, and then fold 1 inch and sew it down all the way. Do the same thing on this side, tucking just like how you normally hem the end of your cloth, tucking half an inch first, and then fold it up to 1 inch in, and then fold it like that. That way we've made the bottom placket, the two of them. And then the next thing is going to be to use bias to run the armhole, use bias to run the other armhole too. So guys, this is it here. You see what I've done so far. First, I folded the end here to make the bottom placket with the 1 inch I told you, and then I folded the end here just to hem it like how you hem your normal clothes. And then I also hem this side too, you see. So I just use 1 inch of seam allowance to fold here, 1 inch of seam allowance to fold here, and then I use bias to turn this side over. So you see, I finished all the corners of this one here. The same on this side. I folded it here to make a bottom placket, hem this part, use bias to turn this side over. And then another thing I did is that I folded the fabric into two like this, leaving 4 inches distance from the end of the zip, the bottom placket here to the end here. That is basically my bust point, right? And then I measured from my shoulder to my to my nipple line, which is at I think 11, and then 1 inch before that is 1 inch below that is 12, so that is where the tip of my dart stopped. And then to my waist at 17, and 2 inches before my hip at 24. So I just marked the 3 points, and then I started my dart like that and connected it here. So I just gave it a small dart, by the way, so you will notice that it's a little like it has this curve towards the waist. So that is it here now. So the only thing I have to do is just to go to the end here on each side, and I'm going to attach this here. So I made this here, it's about, let's say 30 inches long on each one. I'm just going to go to the end here and sew this down, go to the end here and also tack this one down, and that is it, right? But for the neckline, this is what we are going to be doing. Normally when we fold the end of our cloth, this is what we normally have. Like, let's say this is the neckline, right? And then we decide to, this is the neckline, we decide to come down 1 inch for the back neckline and then move 3 inches away. It would look something like this, right? So this is our back neckline. I'm just trying to show you, like, let's say this is the back of your cloth now. It's folded into two, right? And this is the neckline at the back. So you have to measure what it's supposed to be. So normally we do 3 inches, right? This is 3 inches, and then the curve of 1 inch coming down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure it. So it's 3.5, so I need about 7 inches, right? I don't know if you guys understood what I'm saying. So let's say this is my fabric here and I'm trying to cut a back panel. I normally just do your shoulder measurement divided by 2, right? You add it, and then you come down 1 inch of shoulder slope. You go down here, insert your armhole, right? Let's say this is your armhole, and then you come in here, you mark 3 inches of neckline, 1 inch of neck depth. You connect the two of them, right? Connect the shoulder slope. So what you actually need now is the measurement of this round the back of your neck, which if I measure it again, is still the same 3.5. So 3.5 into 2, that is, if you open the whole back neckline from one point to the other, 3.5 on this side, 3.5 on the other side, is going to be 7. So now I want to use this to make my collar. I'm going to make sure that the fold, on a fold, is going to be 4 inches, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that when I fold it, opened like this is 8 inches. Folded into 2 is going to be 4 inches, right? So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to try to measure the front neckline. So you're going to measure this side, what you have, which is going to be 5.5 for me here. So I would assume it's going to also be 5.5 on this other side for me here, right? So 5.5, 5.5. So that is going to be about 11, right? So from that 11, I'm going to add the 7 inches we already got from the neckline at the back. So that is going to be a total of what? 7 plus 11 is 18. So that means my collar length is going to be 18 inches. So I'm going to mark 18 inches plus 1, 19. I'm going to cut it at this point here. And then I'm going to go to the sewing machine, close up on half an inch here, close up half an inch here, and bring it back. Guys, the first thing now, you see I've closed up this side, closed up this side, and turned it over, so now it looks something like this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck in half an inch here from one end to the other end. Just tuck in half an inch on both ends of this here, like you're making a skirt band. And I'm going to start from this point here, tuck this here by just half an inch also, like move it into this by half an inch, sew this side, stop, go over to this side, do the same thing, sew it, stop, and then just close up the rest of the seam. So guys, this is what it looks like, you see. So you leave it straight like this, you sew one from one end and stop, sew the other one from one end and stop. In between now is that 6 inches, so you just tuck it in and sew it, and that is it. So when you fold it into two, you're going to have your collar. You see I've marked where my buttons are going to be, one here, just like that. So you just have to go ahead, put your button on one side and then your buttonhole on the other side. This is done. You see, I've attached the belt on it, so you just have to tie it towards the back. If you find that the 5 inches I did is too small for you, you can make your 7 inches. It will just come a little closer towards the back, but I think this should be okay. I'm not sure yet, but let's move on to the shorts now. Guys, this is the shorts. Basically all you have to do is to measure round your hip divided by 4 plus like extra 4 inches or 3 inches depending on your size. Round the hip for this divided by 4 is 12, and then I added about, because I want it a little free, so let's say I added 1 inch just for ease, and then extra 3 inches for the crotch. How I got 3 inches is just that same 12 inches that I have divided by 4. So let's say you divided your hip is 40, you divided it by 4, you got 10. You divide it again, you divide the 10 again by 4. That is how you're going to get what your crotch would be, the distance here, like how I got 3 for mine. So all you have to do, like I said, mine is 12, mark it all the way. I marked it here, plus 1 inch of just ease, mark it, divided the 12 by 4 again, and then I got the crotch, which is 3. And then after that, I'm just going to, because I want it a little bit more high-waisted, so I'm going to use 11 here instead of, because I know my band is still going to fit in, right? I'm going to just go ahead and mark it here, give it a curve for the crotch, and that is basically the pants I'm making here. I want the front to be band and then the back will be elastic. So this is it here. Go ahead and cut. And then I'm going to split open the side. I'm also going to add a dart to it here. So I'm going to move in about 4.5 in for where my dart is going to be. So that is it here. All I have to do is go to the sewing machine, join the crotch, put in my dart, and then add a band here. So using this front panel, I'm going to also cut the back panel. So I'm going to put it again. My fabric is folded into two, almost the same width as this here, but with an extension of about 4 inches at the side and about 2 inches at the top. So I place my pant again all the way to the end here, but leaving some room towards the crotch. I'm going to extend the length here, and then I'm going to make sure to add about 2 inches all the way to the top. So all the way like this, you see, about 2 inches distance here. This is going to serve as my seam allowance. After that, I'm going to just connect from the top part here all the way to the end of my pant, the side, and that is it for the back. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. This is a very easy method to make like a pant that is boxy, using elastic at the back and band in front. That's the method I'm using here. Cut this out, and that is it. So I'm going to just split it open here. If you want the leg a little bit narrow, not too boxy, you can go ahead and cut off at least 1 inch at the end here, narrow it towards the top. Do the same again, 1 inch at the end, narrow it towards the top, and that is it. If you want, you can leave it straight the way it was before. So I'm just going to go ahead now, join this together, join this together, join the sides together, and then come and finish up. Guys, this is it here. You see that I've attached the band. So this is the 2 front panel. Close the crotch, added a dart that is about 6 inches or 7 inches long, and then added a band that is just the width of the waist, right? You don't have to calculate waist when you're making this pant, because I know someone might ask, don't calculate any waist. It's still the same, straight all the way to the hip. The way the waist is going to come together is with the elastic at the back. So now you see the back panel here. you see, is wider, right? I just did the same thing, but a shorter dart of like 3 inches dart here and here, and then just used band all the way to the end. Now how I'm going to get my exact waist measurement is I'm going to take this pant like this, throw it on top like this, close up the side, close up the crotch, close up the other side again, and then when it's done, I'm going to pass elastic all the way at the back, which can be just half of my waist, right? If my waist is 30, I'll use 15 for the length of the elastic. You understand? So that's the elastic amount I'm going to pass it. It might be too much, you just have to reduce it, but you have to gauge and see. And when I say 15, I can just use the whole 15 even for my seam allowance and everything, because remember the band is longer than what my half of my waist should be. So this band is going to come towards the side, right? Because this band is longer than what your half of my waist, so it's going to lean towards the side. So that elastic I'm using that is half of my waist, I'm going to include the seam allowance in it, just to reduce the length of the elastic, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead now, close up this side. If you want pocket, you can leave about 5 inches open in here and just use lining to make a pocket, but I don't need any pocket, so I'm just going to close up the 2 crotch together like this in one straight seam, close up the side, and then hem the opening, and the pant is done. This is the short here, you see. So I just made one seam on the side, and then there's elastic at the back, so you can see, like I said, the band is going to lean towards the back, and then the elastic is just going to be by the center of the back. You see all the puffing of the fabric here, and this is it here for the top, you see. So this is it here, and this is the back. So if you find that yours is gaping, you might want to add a dart to it, but you have to try it out to be sure it's not gaping. I feel like the rope here should help it not to gape, but if you find that yours is still gaping even with the rope, then you can go ahead and just pinch out like half an inch on the side and add a dart.